Hello, I'm Kimberlie Acosta. Welcome to the Native News Update. It's Friday, August 19th. Many of the stories you hear here can be found at IndianCountryNews.com. And here's the news for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. 2 of the 3 men who branded a swastika on an arm of an American Indian with mental disabilities pleaded guilty to federal hate crime charges on August 18th in a federal court in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Paul Beebe and Jesse Sanford, wearing orange jumpsuits and shackled at the feet and hands, appeared in court to plead guilty to an April 29, 2010 incident in which they fashioned a wire coat hanger into the shape of a swastika and branded the arm of Vincent Key. Beebe pleaded guilty to violating the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Hate Crimes Prevention Act, which carries a term up to 10 years in prison. This was the first case filed under the act, which was signed into law in 2009. Sanford pleaded guilty to a conspiracy to commit a federal hate crime, which carries a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison. A third man, William Hatch, also was arrested for his role in the incident. He pleaded guilty in federal court in June to conspiracy to commit a federal hate crime. All 3 men were arrested in May of 2010, days after the incident. Beebe brought Key, who was seeking a place to stay for the night, to his Farmington apartment, where they shoved a towel in Key's mouth and branded him. A waters right dispute between Native Americans and the Oklahoma government spilled into federal court on August 18th when the Choctaw and Chickasaw tribes sued to stop water being taken from the tribal lands. The tribal land is home to some of Oklahoma's best water, and the state's water agency wants to increase the amount taken from it in the coming years and send it to Oklahoma City, the state's largest city. But the tribes, in their lawsuit against Governor Mary Fallin, Oklahoma City, and the Water Resource Agency, say the state has no jurisdiction over the land the tribes were granted by an 1830 treaty. Sporadic negotiations over the long-standing water dispute began a decade ago, and lawyers for the 2 tribes cite a series of treaties in staking their water claim. When the federal government forced Choctaw, Chickasaw, Seminole, Cherokee, and Muskogee Creek tribes to leave the U.S. Southeast for unsettled land of the Southern Plains, it never reserved any natural resources in what was known as Indian Territory, said Michael Burrag, an Oklahoma-based attorney for the tribes. He added that when Oklahoma was granted statehood in 1906, the state had to disclaim any rights to resources in tribal areas. U.S. Senator Tim Johnson, chairman of the Military Construction and Veterans Affairs Appropriations Subcommittee, announced that the Rosebud Sioux tribe in South Dakota will receive a $6.8 million grant from the Department of Veterans Affairs to establish a veterans cemetery in Millette County. This will be the first cemetery in the nation established jointly by the VA and a federally recognized tribe. According to the Rosebud Sioux tribe, the cemetery will be built upon 80 acres located approximately 10 miles from the junction of Highway 18 and 83. When completed, the cemetery will include a public information center, offices, and maintenance yard. Rosebud Sioux tribe enrolled veterans, eligible spouses, and dependents will be eligible for burial in the cemetery. The Tulalip tribes opened the doors to their newest pride and joy, the $19 million Hibulb Cultural Center. Named for a traditional stronghold of the tribes near the mouth of the Snohomish River, the Cultural Center is still a stronghold today after 30 years in the making. It's a place where the story of the journey of the Tulalip tribes is told in their own words, so the people may preserve it, their youth rediscover it, and the general public come to better know their neighbors. With about 4,000 members, including 2,500 living on the reservation, the Tulalip tribe's elders and leaders guided the vision for the Cultural Center over many years of discussion about the tribal members wanted it to be and do. The result is a facility that includes a 23,000 square foot cultural center, a 10,000 square foot collections wing, and a 42-acre natural history preserve. The statement of identity and place begins with the building itself. The front door is tight-grained yellow cedar carved with a People of the Salmon design and fitted with bronze handles sculpted into orcas, the tribe's totem animal. Inside, the light in the grand hall is soft and evokes the feel of a traditional longhouse. On the floor, the Snohomish shape of the Snohomish River is depicted winding from the front entrance through the main hall and all the way out the back of the building. The Native American Music Awards has received an invitation from Pepsi to help produce the 2011 Native American Music Awards show. To secure the sponsorship, NAMA needs your support to put them into the top 15 by taking the time to go and vote each day until August 30th at refresheverything.com/NAMA, or by texting Pepsi and using the code 107897. Also, the general public voting categories are beginning to open for the 13th Annual Native American Music Awards. Nominees will be announced on September 7th, and online public voting will continue up until the awards ceremony, scheduled for October 7th at the Seneca Niagara Hotel and Casino in Niagara Falls, New York. Looking to give children a voice and aid adults in identifying child abuse in Native communities, a Native American-owned security firm kicks off an art contest for Native American elementary and middle school children. Personnel Security Consultants, Inc. will incorporate the art into a calendar, which will include tips on detecting child abuse and child safety for those working in Native American communities. The calendar, which will be released in November, is in preparation of a week-long child abuse protection training and other safety workshops PSC will sponsor for Native American Heritage Month. The theme of the contest is What My Heritage Means to Me. Native American children in kindergarten through 8th grade may enter. Deadline for submissions of artwork is September 2nd. All finalist entries will be placed on the PSC's website for a vote for the calendar cover on September 5th through the 9th. For contest rules and entry forms, you can go to pscprotectsyou.com. And that's the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. I'd like to thank you for joining me, and have a grand day.